105 years ago tonight, the Titanic struck an iceberg in the Atlantic on its maiden voyage. The so-called unsinkable ship descended hours later to the bottom of the ocean. More than 1,500 people died. It took scientists more than 70 years to find the wreckage. Reid shows us how explorers are now preparing to return for the first time in more than a decade before the wreck disappears forever.
Titanic was called the ship of dreams until a nautical nightmare turned it into a legend, a fateful voyage that fascinated the public,
Iceberg, right ahead!
inspiring more than a dozen films and a new generation of explorers like Stockton Rush.
More people have been to space than have been to see the Titanic.
The wreck was discovered in 1985. Since then, fewer than 200 people have crossed over its bow or glided past its promenade decks. Rush, founder of private submersible company OceanGate, plans to increase that number. Starting in May 2018, Rush will begin a series of yearly expeditions to the Titanic, the first time anyone will have been to the site in more than a decade.
Where is your excitement factor on this?
Oh, definitely an 11.
It's an 11.
The 5-person submersible that will be used is still under construction at a New Jersey factory. When complete, the Cyclops 2 will look like this model and be able to dive 13,000 feet.
People will enter and exit through the dome.
It'll be one of just 5 submersibles on the planet capable of reaching the Titanic and the only one that's privately owned. One of the goals is to generate a 3D model of the wreck, a UNESCO underwater heritage site, before it's too late.
I've heard some researchers say that the Titanic will melt away and be gone in 20 years.
To make the most of the expeditions, OceanGate will include researchers and explorers for a fee, but the seats on the sub don't come cheap.
They're going to pay $105,129.
Because that is
inflation-adjusted price of a first-class ticket on the Titanic in 1912.
Even so, all 54 seats for the 2018 trips have already sold out. Renata Rojas, a banker by trade and explorer at heart, paid for one of those seats.
Ever since I've had a job, I've been saving to go to Titanic.
As for the moment when she first sets eyes on it,
I'll probably cry the entire time. I get emotional.
about the Titanic. You really do. You do.
I do.
Rojas isn't afraid to go more than 2 miles below the waves, and Rush says that's with good reason.
You believe the Cyclops 2 is pretty much invulnerable.
By the time we're done testing it, I believe it's pretty much invulnerable.
And that's pretty much what they said about the Titanic.
That's right. And I will go on all the first dives and probably every third dive, so put my money where my mouth is.
For CBS This Morning, Reid, New York.
If I had 105,000 in loose change, I'd buy a ticket too.
Well, it's captured our imagination for a century, you know?
I
would be
have
so
zero
cool to be-
interest in that.
Really?
Charlie Rose not paying $105,000.
But he'd go on that roller coaster.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, that'd be there.
different strokes for different folks.